Welcome to Lift Your Leg. This is Monique Anstey from the Naughty Dog in Victoria, BC, author of As a Dog Thinketh.
And Jill Brown from Calgary, Alberta, the bag lady. I love how you say Ansty, and it sounds like you have to actually think about it, so it comes out sounding like Ansty.
Thanks.
It's true. This is Monique Ansty.
Thank you. No words. Actually, I have many, but I'm holding them back.
I'm sure. It'll be go first.
I tagged you on something tonight, which is very fitting. If
Oh,
you go
great.
check your Facebook tags right now, you'll see what I'm thinking.
I better turn off my... Hang on, I have to...
This week, I wrote something, and it was about how to train a dog. And I get so annoyed where we're all talking about, do we correct, don't we correct? Is it only positive reinforcement, or do we train with balance? Because honestly, kids, this is kindergarten. Let's move on. This is just the beginning of training dogs. There is an entire world beyond this that everyone is failing to learn because they're so stuck in kindergarten. So this post was about reading dogs and knowing what to do. And another very experienced dog trainer said, teach us how you know what to do, when, where, and why. Pretty much. So it was much more in depth than that. And I wrote down some of the things. And Jill and I are going to try and stumble our way through and answer her questions, because what she said is bang on. It's 100%. Like, this is what we need to pass on to the next generation of trainers, and this is what is getting lost.
But it's going to be very difficult to do.
Oh, shut up.
Well, it is, because it's going to be like somebody saying, how do you know that smells like a lemon? Well, because it's a lemon. Like, it's going to be hard to explain.
I know what you smell like.
Roses.
All right, so do we start with her questions, or do we start with like learning how to read dogs?
It's entirely up to you.
Oh, come on.
Tell me what her questions were. I can't remember them.
We must gauge decisions on a dog's response to a normal cue, such as a voice, leash pressure, spatial pressure, distance, speed. And what makes you tip one way or the other way? What are you seeing that someone else may not see? Then I wrote my notes here. And then she said, obviously, like, I can't quite remember what she said because I just jotted notes here. But breed, age, hormones, development, lack of development, and broken all play a factor in it. How do we teach younger trainers to know these pieces? How do we translate the invisible that you and I talk about over a podcast into something that people can understand? And that's instinct for us.
Oy.
Good questions, all right?
Very good questions.
So, yeah.
Didn't realize this was going to be such a hard podcast.
Drink up, Jill. Drink up. You might need it.
Well, I'm laughing because Sizzle just went and grabbed a toy and is now rolling around on it and going to start barking. She thinks this is crazy.
All right. So, where I want to start with this, and I'm just going to start crossing out on my notes as we start with this. To me, training dogs is, first off, you have to be able to read a dog. And then if you can read a dog, like once I've started training Harry, Johnny, Neville, Pippa, Kate, like just some of my dogs through the years, Gibson, Hilda, you start to see dog profiles. And that's the easiest way I say it. And my own dogs don't necessarily count for this. I think board and train is more useful for this, because as I have hands on these dogs, all that have reactivity, so they're all coming in for the same issue. it's then that I start to see dog profiles. What I have noticed through the years, though, is that I had two people, I've had many people that have left me, but two of the people that left me after being my apprentices, I noticed that they were never actually able to read dogs when they were making up their profiles. What they were going off was how a dog looked. And so they were making profiles based on appearance, and they made some very wrong profiles. So it's not appearance. Dog type is uh, um, Muddy comes to mind. I'm going to pick on Muddy here. He's an import from India. Muddy, I would define as a very serious dog with some anger at the beginning, some anger that would, if you put rules on him, would take them in and hold them like a pressure cooker. He didn't do well with like being micromanaged. It made him angry. And he literally just became a pressure cooker. So retraining Muddy was getting rid of the pressure cooker, being very careful about what rules you put on him, and constantly working on keeping him light and building his bond with his people. So that I would say was Muddy's profile. Then along comes my current board and train Finn, who is Muddy Jr. and fits the same profile. So having retrained Muddy, I now know how to retrain Finn.
Because they're very similar.
Yeah, they're the same type of dog.
This isn't going to be a specific question, but when you take in your board and trains, you don't take a whole lot of history
No.
with them. So I think it would help people to know when you're doing that, you're accepting in a dog with very little history. How do you go, how do you come to your conclusions? Like, what is the work that you do with them to kind of be able to make this profile and realize what kind of a dog they are and what needs to be done?
When I was younger and greener, I used Brenda Aloff's questionnaire, which was like a 6-page questionnaire asking all these questions to the people about what their dog had done, defining like the behaviors, the antecedent to the behavior itself, what the recovery looked like, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized in that a couple of things. First off, if the people knew, they wouldn't be needing to hire me in the first place.
Right.
And the second one is people lie. And if I'm going to trust what they tell me, I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Well, I also think you're going in with a kind of a biased view when you've got all of this information that
I agree.
may or may not be true.
I agree. So I was going in with what I had been previously told, which then does cloud your eyes.
Yeah.
So I think my clients now probably think I'm super weird. But Wendy screens and asks the questions, and she only tells me what I need to know. And then on drop off, I ask them what I need to know to keep their dog safe. And that's all I really want to know until I start to get to know them a little bit better. Then I may have more questions.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to know like what they see, what they think, what they've done, because it just clouds my view. It's not going to help me see who their dog really is.
Okay.
So I'm better off going in knowing way less, other than what I need to know to keep myself and the dog safe.
So then how do you start out? Like, what do you start doing in order for you to be able to create that profile on this dog and know what needs to be done?
Tough question, because now I know dogs quite well, right? I'm now older, been doing this for a long time. So at this moment in time, I can make pretty good snap judgments on a dog.
Okay.
I'm going to
Just
say pretty.
like on body language, like you still have to see things with the dog. What is it that you're seeing that's
Well, we're going to use the one example of the dog that you rescued me with when you were here last year.
Oh, yeah,
But
he was he was
we
scary.
must exclude breed
Yeah,
because we're not allowed to talk about him publicly.
yeah.
So there is no mention of breed here. But there was a dog I worked with that was, to say scary is an understatement.
Terrifying is more, yeah.
Terrifying.
He made my throat. I had to scratch my throat, and that only happens when I'm really scared of something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think this dog would have killed me if he had the chance.
I agree.
So, dog came and looked so closed, scared, overwhelmed with the world.
Like a pressure cooker.
Ah, more shut down than a pressure cooker
Okay.
when he arrived. And put him in a crate, got to know him a little bit, and my snap judgment on him was I have 24 hours to make an impression or I'm going to be in trouble. So I took him walking in a neighborhood with other dogs. So I took another board and train with him. They walked side by side. This dog was shut down, so he was really good. We walked past people, we walked past dogs. His tail started to lift. He enjoyed himself a little bit. So his mood improved through his walk. That afternoon, I took him out of my property, first on long line, then I set him free and let him go free. And he really enjoyed himself. And he played in my pond. I had him with another dog, I do believe. Made huge headway with him. Then that evening, when I went to take him to bed, I think I reached for his collar. And as I reached for his collar, I mean, I'm asking permission. I'm not just jamming my hand in his crate and grabbing him,
Yeah.
because that's a suicide move if you actually want your hands to stay on your wrists. So I'm like putting my hand in there, waiting for him to come forward to kind of give me his collar, which he did. And he did a snap towards my hand. And it was nothing major, but it was the first I'd seen. So I just kind of told him to knock it off, put his leash on him, took him out, walked him around, peed him, whatever else, and then put him to bed that night with his food and dinner in a crate. So that was that. Then the next morning, took him out, had him out about my place, peed him, put him in the car, took him somewhere for a bike ride, and said to Jill in the morning, "Be back soon." So I went for a bike ride with this dog. And as always happens, it's always the way, I left my phone in the car. So got this dog going for a bike ride. He likes his bike ride. He's having super fun. He's good going away from my car. Then I realized I'd forgotten my phone, turned back, was going to go towards my car. And he said, "Nope, not moving." So I kind of just nudged him forward, and he would jump forwards as I was asking. So I wasn't forcing him or anything. It was just a suggestion, like, "Come on, buddy, let's go this way." And he would jump towards me. So he did this like a couple of times. And I realized, like, he's jumping towards me. This isn't good. So I put my bike in between the two of us, and I would like, "Come on, buddy, let's go." And he would come one pace and he would jump into my space towards me. I'm like, this doesn't feel good. But it was all very passive. Like, I got it on video. Like, it was nothing overly alarming. And I was stuck there for 40 minutes because I knew if I asked him to walk, he was eventually going to jump towards me and attack me. So for some reason, some good Samaritans drove past me and they said, "Do you need help?" I'm like, "Yes, I really do. My car is like 60 feet that way. Can you go get it for me, please?" And they looked at me like, "Okay." So they went and got my car. They brought me my car. And then I opened the door and asked him to jump in the front seat. And he did quite willingly. Then I had to climb in next to him, which was terrifying. I know. I know. And I had a weapon in my car that I held between me and him so I could protect myself if he decided to attack me. And I do believe I locked his leash in the door, didn't I? Did
I
I?
think so. Yeah, because I
I think
remember
I did.
saying I would have done that, and you said you did.
Yeah. So his leash was hanging outside the passenger door. So he was kind of trapped there, but I wouldn't trust that enough if he decided to push all his weight forwards towards me to eat me. So as I was then driving him home, which was a very short drive, thank goodness, he did kind of, I felt like he was going to come at me. And I held up my barrier with confidence and he backed right off. And I think it's just the way in which I did it, like the intensity with which I'd done it, like, go ahead, you motherfucker, try it. Because at this point, I was kind of done with him. But it was all very calm, like no words are being said, like whatever, like I'm just going to drive you home. So I got home and then opened up his car door to take him out. Were you outside at that point, or had I then called you and said help?
I can't remember. I think you called me. I think you
Yeah.
called me. Yeah, when I came out, you had him out of the van.
I remember it was a very, I think I was talking to you like very monotone, like, can you meet me at my building when I get there?
Yeah.
No excitement in my voice. Just, can you please come meet me at my building? Because I think I'm about to be eaten.
I'm like, does somebody have a gun to your head? Why are you why are you talking like a hostage? Which
Because I
is what
was
you
one.
were.
I
Exactly.
really was one. So I went into my building and I have a dog catcher's pole and I put that around his neck and then like, come on, buddy, let's go. And he jumped towards me. And now because the dog catcher pole is like a solid stick. As he jumped, I was able to keep him not jumping too close. But if I remember correctly, when I first asked him to like jump out the car, he jumped out that car like for me.
Yeah.
Um, and the dog catcher's pole can keep him away from me so he can't actually get me. And then once he realized that, he was willing to die in that fight. Like he was going to kill me, and he was okay if he died in that fight along with it.
Yeah.
It was awful, like absolutely awful. Um, so with that dog, when he arrived, I knew I had a very short time to make an impression because once he got more comfortable with me, there was going to be a whole lot there that I might not be able to work with. And how did I know that? Oh, that's the question she's
Well,
asking, right?
yeah,
Because
and that's
he
that
seemed sad and shut down. Like looking at him, it's like, oh, I'll adopt that one. He's nice and quiet.
yeah. And that's why I said this is going to be a really hard topic because it comes from it's first of all, I think it's a gift and a talent to be able to read dogs. So some people just have it. Other people have to learn it. And to learn it can take a long time. It's really hard to just give pointers on how to read a dog.
It is. So, okay, so he just seemed a little bit sad and shut down when I first met him. So, what did I see in there that made me realize there was a whole lot more behind that? So, I had to make an impression right away. Um, as he had his nice day with me, at no point did he try and engage with me. That's a big warning bell.
Okay.
Um, and I'll do like on the first day, I do lots of like sitting with them. Even if it's at the back of my car, I'll sit next to their crate with their door open so they can come forward and they can nuzzle me with their noses if they want to. Like I'm just giving them a chance to get to know me. And in all of that, he didn't. Like he was like, bitch, where are you going to take me now? That just, he had no desire to get to know me. So that was a huge warning bell because just because you're not seeing aggression doesn't mean they are friendly. It
Right.
just means they're not yet putting their cards on the table. And this was that dog. I think the bigger one was how did I know on the bike ride? Because every time I'm like, "Come on, buddy, let's go," like, just with a tiny, tiny bit of, like, little leash pressure, like a minuscule tug, like
Yeah.
pulling on a feather. How did I know that that little hop towards me wasn't what I wanted? And it was the manner in which he did it. Like, I think he kind of stiffened and looked me in the eyes each time he jumped.
Well, I think that one is one that you can explain pretty easily. Like if you've got a dog that's afraid, it's gonna I mean it might jump with that nudge, but it's not going to come at you. It's going to try to be going away from you. One that's shut down is just going to freeze and be like, nudge me all you want, I'm not going anywhere. The fact that he was coming towards you, that would put off big warning bells for me.
Yeah. And because he'd never come towards me in a friendly manner yet.
Yeah.
And now he's coming towards me.
Yeah. When you're asking him to do something he doesn't really want to do,
Yeah.
that's a big conflict.
Yeah. But honestly, in this video, like, I showed it to his person and he looks just like going for a walk. I can see it. Jill can see it. Not sure his owner could when I showed them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was one. So how do we know to see that? Another dog that comes to mind. So I'm kind of coming up with the moments where my intuition saved my bacon.
I hope this is the one I'm thinking of.
Well, I don't know. There's two that come to mind, and both are with a similar breed.
Okay.
One was a Caucasian Shepherd. Both were
Yep.
Caucasian Shepherds,
That's the one.
but there was two of them, so I still don't know which one. So one was a Caucasian Shepherd that I had been asked to evaluate for a rescue. So we're standing in the back of a car park in Machosen where I live. So there's no people here. I live in a tiny little like farming community. I live in the most wonderful place in the world. So we're in the back of a car park and, just sitting on the tailgate. She's got the dog out on a leash. I'm looking at this dog and its messed up front legs, thinking like, wow, its front legs must be painful. And the dog's just kind of lying down because front legs must be painful. And then a guy came, probably other end of the parking lot. So, a couple of 100 feet away, far away. So we got out of his car and walked towards the store. And this dog perked up on the guy. And it was this tiny voice in the back of my head that said, run.
Uh,
And I did. So I went from sitting next to the handler on the back of the tailgate to booking it around the side of the car. And this crippled dog could gallop.
yeah. When adrenaline kicks in, it's a wonderful thing.
I remember joking with that one. I felt like the gingerbread man. Like I just took off.
You're lucky you didn't lose one of your gingerbread arms.
So as I took off around the car, I kind of leapt over the hood and this dog came after me. I'm like, what? Like how? Where can I go now? So there was a dumpster in front of me and I was trying to calculate, how do I get up here? And thank goodness, Haley, thank you so much. And this is Haley from the farm rescue way back when. Maybe it was broken promises back then. I don't know how she did it, but she anchored that dog. So dog couldn't get me at that point. So as I stood there, I said to her, get him in the car now because he's going to turn on you.
I
Get him
didn't
in
I
the...
didn't okay, I didn't realize it was
Oh,
Haley.
yeah.
This puts
No,
a whole
it's a
new
different
spin.
Haley. It wasn't that
Oh,
one. It was a different
okay.
Haley.
Okay.
It was Haley Nelson. So I said, get him in the car now is actually her. So she got the dog in the car. She's like, dog's fine with me. There won't be an issue. Get in the car now. There won't be an issue. So anyhow, she got the dog in the car, closed the trunk. And right at that moment, as she closed the trunk, the dog turned on her.
Oh my God.
At
And by
which,
tr- by trunk you mean hatch, not
yes,
trunk.
yes, yes, yes.
Let's clarify that.
Thank you. So now the dog's in the back of a fully enclosed car in August, and she put the leash on the inside
Oh
as she closed the
no.
hatch. So she's like, we're going to kill it in the heat. And at my moment in time, I'm like, doesn't seem like much of an issue to me at this moment.
I
Whatever.
I stopped myself from saying that.
Hmm.
Oh boy.
Better the dog than her and me. Um, so we ended up like we pried it open like an inch, and she had all her weight, so the dog couldn't then jam it open and get out. Can you imagine? And I
Wow.
stuck a tracking line in there and managed to pull the leash out. And then we secured the leash on the outside of the car so she could then drive the dog to the vet. So that was
Wow.
one. So that was one.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but in this moment, there was nothing that I saw other than that voice in my head.
And
And I have
that cold feeling that goes down the back of your neck.
yes, and I do feel the hair on the back of my neck sometimes go up, and this
Yep.
was one of those moments. It was terrifying. Honestly, it was so terrifying. So that was another one, and that was just the intuition. And I have learned to listen to that voice in my head, and
Absolutely.
I never question it. Like there have been times that I've been driving and I have thought it's been a dry summer, it just rained, go slow around this bend. So I would slow down before the bend. And I remember one time it was night. I slowed down and there was a boat that had jackknifed right in front of me. If I'd have been going normal speed, I would have hit it.
Well, we talked about this just the other day when I decided not to come out.
Yes. Yes.
Follow your gut.
Yeah. I listen to my gut always on things like this. And even if I have a complex dog I need to work with, like tomorrow, and I wake up tomorrow morning and I'm like, I can't, I will never question it. I learned
Well,
that once.
there's no
Once I,
point in your business when you're dealing with behavior.
yeah.
There's no point in going in if you're not 100% there.
There was one day years and years and years ago, we were selling our old house, buying this place. And so there was a lot of stress. There was a seminar coming on like in a couple of weeks. So there were so many balls being juggled in the air, and I had to work a private lesson with a Great Dane that had aggression towards people. So, okay, whatever. I woke up that morning and I remember I phoned whoever was working for me and said, I can't do it. Like, there's just too much going on. So they canceled some of my privates and kept some. And that was against my better judgment. I wanted to cancel everything. But I was much younger then. So went to the private lesson for this Great Dane. So Great Dane is at the other side of the parking lot, probably again about 300 feet away from me. 200 feet, I'm going to say. Far away, like quite a good distance. And that dog lit up on a dog in the distance, in the other direction, turned around, saw me, said, you will do, and dragged the owner to me and attacked me.
Yikes.
Yeah. And that was one of those that I knew I just shouldn't have gone there that day. And I did. So then I had a mangled arm, and Brian had to do all of the moving into this house without me. He had to lift everything. I had one arm. And it was my left arm that I had. My right arm got bitten. So I was out.
Wow. You planned that, didn't you?
So I know that's what he said. He was quite angry. So that was one of listening to my intuition. And I think that is the last time I have questioned that voice in my head.
Yep.
If I hear it now, I won't do it. And I'm sure some of my clients must think I'm a bit crazy or lazy or whatever else. And I just say, I'm sorry. Like, today is not the day. I'm
Yep.
not in the best headspace, and your dog deserves better than what I can give them today.
Well, and especially if you are dealing with an aggressive dog,
Yeah.
you can probably get away with it if it's a minor issue, like you're working on recalls or something. You can go
Oh,
in if
that's
you're,
easy.
yeah,
I would
if you're
never
not,
cancel on that
yeah,
unless, yeah.
but not with an aggressive dog.
It's the
Absolutely
more
not.
complex things that if I'm not feeling 100%, I won't do it. I've just learned not to now.
Yep.
Um, so that was one. And then I think the other big one I've had, and I do have a video of this somewhere, it was another of Charka, and it was a 6-month-old puppy. And I would put her into her crate in the back of my car. Well, there's some backstory to this. So I was teaching her loose leash. So as the lesson continued, her loose leash got better and better and better, and her tail got higher and higher and higher. And I had a feeling like this isn't good. This shouldn't be happening. Like,
Okay, so there alone, you can point out that there are a lot of people that would think tail coming up means that she's happy going along in her loose leash lesson.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's a uh, an experience thing. Because as soon as you said that, I was like, "Yee."
exactly. And you're right. Most people, and she did look happier. Like she was bouncing, like she had a nice little bounce in her trot. She looked super confident. And that was the key. She looked super confident.
Wow,
Um,
she had that figured out.
yeah. So loose leash went great, but did it? And I remember I was with Haley at the time, the other Haley,
Okay.
the chewed slipper Haley. And I said to Haley, this doesn't feel right. And Haley said, I know, this feels very, very wrong. So we went to put her in the car and then we videoed it. So
Oy.
as I put her in the back crate of the car, it's like a 700 metal crate. She would dive in super willingly, run to the back of the crate and plant her butt against the back and turn and look super cute at me. But she was positioning herself, so I had to reach in to take her leash off.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to reach in to take her leash off. So I would just kind of nudge her, like, come here, honey, so I could get her to come forward. And then when I nudged her, she kind of dropped down like in resource guarding position with her head in between her feet. And I'm like, oh, I'm not reaching in.
Yeah, you
And
can keep your leash.
you can, yeah. So I would be, come on, honey. And then I would get her out and I would try and reposition her again to get in so I could get her leash off. And she was still doing everything very willingly. It's just, there were very subtle things there, like her planting herself in the back of the crate. That's never a good thing. So we did it again. She planted herself in the back, asked her to move forward. She laid down. I think I may have gotten a tiny little bit of a lip lift at that moment. So I'm like, all right, let's try this again. So I brought her out and pretty much, I think I took her leash off on the outside. Then just like, go on, up you go. So she leapt in, flew to the back. And as I closed the door, she lunged and did like a grab and then a spin at my hand and then my other hand as I was closing the crate door. We have that on video. And this was all with like this dog that no one would even notice what she did, really. It was so subtle. If I can find it, I will attach that video to the show notes.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
interesting to see. I
so
think
go ahead.
I was going to say the lesson that I'm taking away from that is you have to be watching. If you're dealing with behavior issues, you have to be watching 100%. Like watch everything. And if anything even tiny looks odd to you, be aware of that.
This is what my shadow people said, is that I'm aware of every single thing that they're doing, whereas they wouldn't be.
Yeah,
Only they will now.
they will. And honestly, I think your shadow program is a really good idea.
Thank
I
you.
think I think it's going to be something that will really be able to teach people.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to have some appropriate dogs in
Yeah, exactly. We
at
have to have
at the
like
same time.
the right board and trains or the right private lessons or something. Like I have to be able to have the right dogs there. I
Yep.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so those are a few. Did I answer the dog you were thinking of?
It was the one in the parking lot, the
Okay.
Caucasian Shepherd. I thought it was an Ovcharka, but yeah,
I think they're the same, aren't they?
maybe. Big nasty livestock guardian dogs.
Oh, I'm almost scary, man.
Yeah,
That one was scary.
I remember you telling me about that one. I was like, "Oh, nope, don't want your
His
job."
dog could barely walk, but it could run no problem.
Oh, yeah.
Oh dear. So, how are we making answering this question? Pay attention to the smallest, teeniest details. Everything is done for a reason.
Yep.
So, if they get in a crate and plant themselves in the back, there's a reason for that. Why are they doing that?
Yep.
And for me, if I ask a dog to go into a crate and it slams himself in the back of the crate and turns quick, that's a red flag.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think those are often the most dangerous dogs of all.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
a huge red flag for me.
because they're in and ready to come out.
They are. They've turned so fast that they're ready for you to close that door.
I used to work at a vet clinic years ago and had a fellow bring in his, it was a working dog. I won't name breed just because I won't. Um, but he brought it in to have it euthanized because he was at work and his girlfriend, who he lived with, went to put the dog in the crate and had never had an issue before. And the dog went in the crate, spun, and came and took a chunk of her face.
Oh,
Yeah. And I remember her saying, "You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this." And he was like, "Oh, yes, I do. I won't have a dog that's going to do that to my significant other." So, yeah, that quick in spin is something to be aware of.
yep. And the other thing too, like if you're putting a dog in a crate that you aren't sure about, I always have the door in a hand so that if they fly at me, I can use the door as a block between me and them
Yeah,
if needed. It's a perfect barrier, but my hand is ready on it. And
yeah,
including if I let a client dog out of a crate, as I'm letting it out, I open up the door enough that I can reach in, but my knee is holding the door so they can't fly out and escape.
yeah,
And likewise, if they were to dive at me in that moment, I could use my knee to close that door and keep them in there.
yeah.
I had another moment this week, but let me pause quickly. I need a cocktail refill. Hang
Hmm,
on.
me too. Are you back?
Delicious. Thank you.
Are you back?
I am. Mine is delicious. How is yours?
Well, I didn't even really need to refill mine, but I was not to be outdone.
All right. So I had another moment this week, and dog must remain unnamed because we cannot identify the guilty parties.
Hmm.
It's a dog I know. So I have a relationship with this dog. So this behavior was not expected. And when I say I have a relationship, I should probably say I have a good relationship with this dog. So this was not expected. But
Harry.
no, never. Don't be a cow, Jill. So I reached into a crate to let the dog out and put her collar on. I'm going to remove that sentence because I identified sex. I reached into a collar and put the I can't speak. I reached into the
Sizzle, close the
kennel
door.
and put their collar on.
Okay.
And as I'm trying to get the collar on, I've got
Close the
my
door.
knee on
Close
the
the door.
door, so it's just partially open. And as I'm putting the collar on, it was that voice in the back of my head again said, "They are staring you right in the eyes. They're about to attack you in the face." And
Eek.
I kind of felt that moment when I had that thought, and I very slowly just backed away calmly. And in the case of this dog, uh, let them come out because this is a dog that builds with pressure. So removing that pressure would deflate the dog. So let them out. And I just come this way, let's go. And then I just started doing some tricks with cookies and the moment was over. But and then I put the collar on. But it was one of those moments, if I hadn't been paying attention, this is a normal everyday behavior that I always do. And in this moment, the dog said, "No,
Yeah.
don't." But the dog even came forward for me to do it in the crate.
But still, once it got there, was like,
There was that freezing, and they were staring me in the eyes.
So that's another thing that you have to be aware of. And you have to know when to push through something and when to back off. Let them
And
think they got that win.
well, like there's certain dogs, right? Like I have 3 very different dogs here right now. One of them, if they had have done that, would have gotten the crate door in their nose and been told to knock it off.
Yeah.
The other 2, I would have handled in this way of like, okay, let's ease the pressure here. Come on, everything's fine. Lighten up. The world isn't about to end.
Yeah.
They were acting like I was about to put like an earring in their ear or something. Like, seriously, lighten up, dog. You get your collar put on every single day. But if I had have gotten excited or emotional, or I think in these cases with these 2 dogs, corrected either of them, that would have provoked.
Do you think even if you had gone to the kissy kissy, it's okay, everything's fine, what would have happened then?
I've never done that, so I can't answer.
Okay.
I think that's a bad choice
I think so too, but I know that
because I
that
think
would be a choice for some people.
I think in that moment, like what was needed was a release of pressure. Like I was blocking the crate exit. I
Hmm.
had my hands around their neck trying to put a collar on, and they were feeling uncomfortable. So I think they came forward very willingly to get their collar put on, and then they regretted their choice.
Yeah. But some
Um,
people would think that it's okay, everything's all right. Come here, come here.
but that doesn't.
They would think that's releasing pressure.
No, I don't think so. Me
Yeah.
physically removing myself and opening the door removed pressure.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what they needed. Now, I think I could have physically removed myself and closed the door, and that would also have removed pressure. But in that moment, I was a gambling person and didn't believe that this dog would escalate if I gave them freedom. I
Right.
felt they were just uncomfortable in that moment with me in tight. And fortunately, I listen to dogs. Like, and this is another one. You had said at the beginning, I don't ask many questions and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
um, I already had a pre-established relationship with this dog. So if I am going off my relationship, I'm not going to listen to this. It's like, oh, knock it off, get over yourself.
Okay.
But this was a legit issue. And then I'm going to say for the rest of that day, this dog was weird, like sketchy. And even the whole week, the dog was a bit sketchy. Like I made headway in training and all the rest of it. This dog wasn't as good as they had been previously. So I'm very excited to see what next week is going to be like. Like, is
Yeah.
next week going to be worse? Is next week going to be better? And either way, we still get the answers and the information we need. But I'm going to again, next week, I need to be on my game. And I was training with Sheila today, and we were both complete slackasses and didn't do nearly enough with our dogs. And I said to her, like, I'm so tired. And she was like, why? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I had a good week. This is probably why. It's because when I'm training dogs, I have to be so on.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and I think I don't sometimes realize like how much that takes out of me.
Well, I used to give you a hard time about your quote work when you'd say, no, I have to go to work. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. You're going to go play with dogs.
I'm going to go bike dogs up a mountain
Right? And
and
I
then get
know,
stuck up there.
yeah. And I always thought, like, stop calling it work. But you're right. Like, I go to work for a company and I do my job, but I don't have to be on 100% of the time like I would have to be if I was dealing with a dog that might potentially want to kill
Hurt
me.
you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, take the compliment.
So, with going back to some of her questions, like, how do we know what voice to use? Well, in the case of my crate and collar there, I was like, come on, let's go. Just very calm. Same with bike riding dog that wanted to eat me. It was like, come on, buddy, let's go.
Yep.
I have to talk in a monotone conversation now. Everything's just very calm, level, dull. No excitement of any kind because that would trigger.
Yes.
And no, I'm very aware. These are the moments like if I was to back up from this dog when I let her out, like, come on, honey, let's go. If I was to then back up and trip,
Oh my God.
that that would be some very bad spatial pressure, and I would regret that era. So,
I'd hate to have that on video.
like if I was to do something clumsy with my body, I'd pay for it dearly. So in these moments, everything is like so calm and clear. Like I'm so aware of my feet. Now, it was about an hour later with this dog, and things had improved. And I think she kind of spun and I turned into her. So the dog turned left and I turned right. Um, and we kind of bumped each other. It was nothing, like absolutely nothing. The amount of pressure would be me like touching someone's knee, like minor, incredibly minor. But the dog got full hackles and acted like a wolverine
Wow.
just from that. So if I had have backed away from that crate and tripped, it may have been game over. So I have to be super aware of my
Yeah.
body, what my body is doing. And then in moments like that where things escalated because I bumped, it's just like so calm. Like,
Well,
come on,
and
let's go.
I
Get out
think
of here.
that's always a better choice to make in
Yeah.
that situation. Like I'm sitting here thinking about so many behaviors that happen where we would just tell them to knock it off. Like stop being a jerk. Enough of this. But you're almost always better to just be like, "Okay, let's go," until you figure out where their mindset is because that challenge of a knock it off, stop being a jerk in the wrong instance can bring on more of an attack.
Well, I don't think many people are probably working with dogs like this. And this is the difficulty because you have to know how to read a dog. So, like the other dog, one of the dogs I have right now, if I said to him in that moment, like, let's go and ease that pressure for him, he probably actually would attack with that because he needs to be told to knock it off.
But
And
that
then he's
comes,
soft and sweet. And
yeah,
that's the experience part that she's
yeah,
asking about.
yeah.
So, how do we know with him to tell him to knock it off? With this dog, it's all so fresh and happy and cute, um, with like a big straight up tail, like pointing towards the ceiling that goes tick tock, back and forth with a stiff wag. He plays very much like Harry does with other dogs. Like he's in and out. He loves everyone. He's so fresh. He's super happy. Um, and then if he like jumps on a person, he's like mouthing their arm, grabbing their sleeve. And I think with him, if you retreat, I think he would escalate because
Hmm.
he's happily wanting a fight. You know who he is? He's the drunk rugby player that's met a very, very beautiful team of women, and he's
Who won't back off until they actually
yeah,
come right
yeah,
out. Yeah.
yeah,
The
and
nice
it
the niceties aren't working.
yeah. And if you kind of hint at him to go away, he's so charming. He's just going to give you a new line and a new joke and
I
smile and all the rest of it. But if you slap him up the side of the head and tell him to piss off, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, off I'll go now."
I lived with
And
someone like that.
and that's this dog. Like he's all charm and happiness and a bit clueless to everyone else's responses to his behavior. But if you tell him to knock it off, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you didn't like that." But if you don't tell him to knock it off,
He'll just keep
then
pushing.
then he keeps pushing and he kind of works himself into a little bit of a frenzy.
And again, that's stuff that you learn through experience.
I think with him, it's the look in his eyes. It's the confidence of when he's doing this to you, of how he looks. So with the dog I was explaining before, there's worry in the eyes, there's tension in the face, the ears are back. With this dog, there's absolute joy. Like, it's just happy and joy and clueless and unaware that you're uncomfortable with this. So
Oh,
he's just having one hell of a time at
you're
your
not my
expense.
mother. I can do what I want.
Exactly. You're stupid auntie.
Versus the other one that's like, try it.
So
Ah,
something fascinating happened with one of the dogs this week. I two dogs are passing each other. One dog's going in, one dog's going out to the yard. And I have one dog's collar in my hand. They're going past each other, and one of them snarked at the other one. The other one snarked back. No big deal. One dog's now out on the deck, and the other one's back in the building. So no big deal whatsoever. But the sketchy one that's had a very bad week already is now on the deck and looked suicidal, like they'd done the world's worst thing once again, and they've just disappointed everyone, and they're a
oh,
failure. It was so sad. So I told them, "You are such a good dog. Well done." What does a good dog say? Got them barking, fed them a whole bunch of cookies, opened up the door, went inside, at which point I videoed the three dogs and just turned my camera on. From that video, and it was like, we're talking seconds. We're talking like 5 cookies, fed outside, open the door, go on in, turn on my camera. That's it. And from looking at that video, you would not be able to tell what dog that I'm talking about.
huh.
So what this dog needed was that pressure release of being told they were a good dog, not a
Yep.
bad dog.
Yep.
And how do you know that? And that is experience. That's just experience. I can't say any other way. Because how can you praise a dog for snarking at another dog? But in this case, the praise removed all the aggression and all the stress and made them happy.
Yep.
And they even got a reward for it. They got 5 cookies, 5
Well,
liver treats.
and sometimes that snark is a good thing. Sometimes they had every right to say, piss off.
Yes. And they stopped. It was minor.
Yep.
Minor is
Yeah.
good. We like minor.
It's like it's like bumping shoulders with you when I'm going outside and you're in the way. Not like we're gonna keep fighting all day long.
We will.
Woo. Yeah, but
Kick you in the crotch as hard as I can.
that's happened once. It'll never happen again.
When did I kick you in the crotch?
In Spokane at a seminar.
I did.
Yes. And the next time you tried, I grabbed you by the scruff and had you on the ground and almost punched you.
That's so funny.
Yep. Yeah. That was the first and last
Uh,
time that happened.
Hi, Bridget. The word of the weekend was what? Mayonnaise?
No.
Mustard.
No. Don't even start looking because it was
What?
really bad.
No, remember that we tried to make her say a word. What
I
was the word we
know.
tried to make? What was
No.
it?
No. We're not. No.
I thought the word was a normal word we tried to make her slip into her
Mm,
seminar.
no. It was a very bad meaning word that sounded normal. Bridget, however, taught us about drinking, and I think that we need to come up with a word for drinking while podcasting. Drodcasting? Drinkcasting? No, no, we cannot bring up that word because it's really bad.
Text me right now.
I have to Google it.
How can you not remember? I honestly think we tried to make her say the word mustard or
We
something like that.
no, we did try to get her to make. We did try to get her to say it, but um,
Didn't we
uh,
offer her $100 if she slipped it into a
yes.
seminar? Bad Bridget.
Um, I can't even remember the word.
No one's going to let us at their seminars.
I know. It's what's the bad Urban Dictionary? Or it like
um,
it's
Off topic, Bridget Carlson has amazing feel and timing, and she has to be one of North America's top trainers. Like Bridget Carlson is a phenomenal trainer. She does various sports. I'm not sure she does pet dog stuff or not, but she's a sport trainer in
and everything she steps into,
she wins.
she wins. Yep.
An amazing trainer. So if you're into competition obedience or hunt tests or IGP, Bridget Carlson is a woman that you should be watching, checking out her videos.
Yep.
Phenomenal trainer.
And the dogs love her. Like she has a connection with even my wacky sizzle, who doesn't have the greatest temperament, was like, "What can I do for you?" It was yeah, Bridget's awesome.
And another super fun person that you can try and make her say a word at her seminar and
If
offer her money for it.
if only I could remember what it was.
I honestly think it was mustard.
It wasn't. I'm going to text her right now and see if she answers me.
All right. Um, so what are you seeing that someone else may not see? And I think the answer to that is we're paying attention to the teeny tiny details, or we're paying attention to the teeny tiny details that are different from what they've previously been. Any differences, we're noticing them. Are you done typing?
No, I had to find her in my contacts.
So something happened today with Harry on his track. He's been doing some super tracks as of late. Thank you, Harry. And I was out there with Sheila, and Harry fumbled his corner a little bit. And then when he fumbled his corner, he lost his confidence a little bit on his straight leg. So he started doing a tiny bit of searching for his corners on that straight leg as we were going. Nothing problematic, but it was different than what it has been. He's almost been like on railway tracks with his tracks as of late, like from footprint to footprint. And his corners, he just turns and goes like he's been amazing. So today, a little bit of his old issue resurfaced. And as we're walking away from the track, Sheila said, it's been so long since he's been frantic on his straights. And I said, except for today where it came back. And she's like, no, it didn't. I'm like, yes, it did. That's what made you think of it. She's like, honestly, I didn't see it.
But she must have, or it wouldn't have come to mind.
So what happened was she saw the teeny tiny details of it beginning, but didn't know enough to know what she was seeing. but it connected in her brain, but she just wasn't aware of the connection, which is kind of funny because she was so apologetic when she saw that. But she'd seen it. She'd seen the beginning, which is what made her say that. And then she felt so bad for saying that. But she saw it. So it's a good thing because she's now seeing the teeny tiny decline. So she's not seeing it when it becomes a big problem. She saw it literally at the 1% beginning of becoming a problem, which is where we need to get to.
What'd I
Where we
do?
see,
Okay.
who are you yelling at?
Oh, my phone's doing something weird. Hang on a second.
I hear that.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to try to reconnect. Better?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Huh. Yeah. So she's not really registering what she's seeing. She just saw something that made her remember what had
I
happened in the
think
past.
I agree. So she saw the beginning, and without realizing what she saw, it made her remember, which is exactly what you just said, and I repeated it. Yes.
Thanks.
You're welcome, Jill.
Your voice is so much better than mine. Sizzle.
It's the accent.
Somebody's trying to steal my car.
Shoot them.
She's being the big guard dog.
So we're seeing the small details. What else are we seeing? Like, come up with other dog examples. How did I know my one dog thought that she was a bad dog? And it was after that encounter how downtrodden she looked. Because I think after an adrenaline burst like that, the dog should be looking high. They shouldn't be looking downtrodden.
Yeah. Yeah, they've just had a big kick there of
Of adrenaline.
yep.
So their tail should be up. They should be standing taller. Their ears should be up. They shouldn't be hanging their head in shame with their tail tucked. And that's what I saw in this dog.
Poor kid.
I know, so sad.
Just said get out of my way.
I know. So what other small details are we seeing in dogs?
Ah.
I think my poodle guest is probably one of the harder dogs I've ever had to have around. Challenging dog. Very, very clever dog.
The picture you sent me the other day, I was like, why are you sending me a picture of Pippa in the front seat?
How long did it take you to see the poodle?
I think I looked 3 or 4 times before I finally saw eyes. It was quite funny. She was squished behind Pippa, hidden in the black fur.
And
That's
that was her
funny.
choice.
Oh my. I think you should post that picture as well.
Okay, hang on. I have to write a note then. Wonder if I could still find that of Charka video. Sure I can.
Oof.
Poodle photo. What are the tiny details we see in Poodle?
Well, I haven't seen Poodle in her problem phase. I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her for like almost a year, I think.
I actually think Poodle should be a case study.
Well, there you go.
There's a couple of dogs I've worked with that should be case studies. Poodle is one of them. And the other one is Lisa's. I've been asked to name her. So Lisa's Max Cavalier. He should have been another, except he's done now. So too late. Too late because it's all over and now he's super. He was super before, but now he's normal and super before he was frantic and super.
You figured him out.
Yeah. and just changed him. Because that's what training's about. It's about building your strengths and lessening your weaknesses.
Yeah.
And then it's having the feeling and timing to know what to do, which is what this whole podcast is about of what do you do?
Yep. And
So,
when.
yeah, yeah. All
Well, and
right.
I think that's a big part of it is when people are asking, what are you seeing and what do you do? Um, I mean, we're kind of focusing on the things to do on this podcast, but there's also a lot of things not to do. And I think people get, it's really easy to get hung up on something like I'm talking in circles.
I,
But so you're working with a dog that suddenly starts to get worried,
yep,
and you feel like you need to jolly the dog and tell them how wonderful they are to get them out of that sad spot or that worried spot and get back into working mode.
yep.
But that's not what the dog hears. The
Right.
dog is just hearing you telling them that what they're doing is
It's super.
it's how you blah 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 blah
You're
blah.
such a good boy. I love what you're doing.
Exactly. And they're like, okay, well, I guess maybe then not coming when I'm called or not healing when I'm told to heal is what I should do.
Yes.
So, yeah, while we need to look at things to do, we also need to look at things not to do.
Yeah. There's two German Shepherds I'm working with right now, and I want to talk about both of them because I think this is very common in German Shepherds. Because German Shepherds come with amazing work and I can't speak, amazing work ethic. So I'm working with two of them that do not feel confident around other dogs. So one is older, one is 6 months old. And with the older one, the lack of confidence will always turn into reactivity in this breed. So with the older one, this dog has been trained really beautifully to make that reactivity go away and to be able to manage her in public, off leash, on leash. Dog's super trained. With the young guy, he's still at that barking stage of lunging, barking, whatever. With both of these dogs, what they need, and I think where a lot of trainers forget is that yes, you have amazing work ethic in a German Shepherd, so you can just kind of tell them what you need and they will do it. So you can be strict with these guys and they'll rise to the occasion, just do it for you. But in that case, you're almost teaching them to mask. I guess the best way of saying it is almost like an illiterate child growing up and then being an illiterate adult that's learned to hide the fact that they cannot read to anyone, but they still can't read. And that's always going to be an issue in everything that they do until they learn how to read. So with the adult shepherd, she's learned how to get through in life, but the issue is still there. She cannot read. And until that is fixed, she will never be able to be the dog that she should be. And the same with the young little puppies. So, with these two dogs, they need to learn how to get along with their species. That's the piece that got missed. They need to have their confidence built around other dogs and then learn how to get along with other dogs. Mr. Young Shepherd, I took him out this week. He was here at day school and he comes out like full teeth, like on two legs. And Pippa and Fika, like, goodbye, we're out of here. Johnny can
No,
deal with
thank
this.
you.
No, thank you, mother. We'll meet you back at the house. And Johnny and Kate said, we're in. We'll do it. And poor blind Rupert didn't know where he was going. Poor
Rupert just
Rupert.
bumped into him. Poor.
This dog comes out and I use stick as a barrier in between him and the other dogs. He goes through my stick, he gets clumped with it. So I'm using my stick and then I just unclipped him and let him go. And honestly, in a minute, he was playing with Kate and Johnny. It was that easy. So off he goes. He's with them. Then he's got blind Rupert bumping into him and he doesn't understand what's going on. Then Fika came out. I was like, now I can try it. But he was still a bit too fresh for her at this point. So I had to protect Fika with my stick. Um, so we were out probably for an hour and a half. I ended up with other dogs outside with him. So I think by the time he went back inside, I probably had 8 dogs outside with him and he was playing with all of them. He loved Maui. He loved quite a few of them. Then I let him inside the building. It was day school. And I think he met 6, 7 more dogs when he went inside. He was super with them all. And then at this point, he's been out for a long time now playing with dogs. It's probably been like 2 hours. So I put him outside in a crate in the car because I didn't want to leave him crated in the building. Because if he was seeing dogs on the other side of the crate, then he's going to
Yeah.
get defensive. He's going to start barking, and
Yep.
all that goodness that we've just built is going to be gone. So in the car he goes. He's got peace and quiet. Left him there for a couple of hours, let him nap, and then brought him out again. So I bring him out again, same lunging, barking, flying like through my stick. And Pippa and Fika said, "He's ours. We got this." Which is fascinating because to me, he looked exactly the same as he did the first time. It sounded the same, the intensity looked the same, but both of the girls said, we got him. So I let him go and he made a move towards Pippa. She told him off and then off they went and played. Super.
Now, people need to understand that they need to have that proper good dog pack to start with to teach the appropriate behavior in these young, fresh adolescents.
Yes. And in the case of this, I have dogs with varying levels of strength. Johnny, my German Shepherd, he's 7 years old. He's an amazingly strong dog. And I would actually define Johnny as a dominant dog. Nothing phases him.
Yeah.
And in the case of German Shepherd, when he was out there, he would play with Shepherd. And then if Shepherd got too fresh with Kate, Johnny would take one step towards him slowly and the dog would scream and run. It's absolutely amazing watching John John. But Johnny's strong. So I'm very careful who I put with Johnny. Because if I'm putting another strong male, it's going to be a war. But in the
or
case of this guy, he isn't strong. He
or a
needed
really
Johnny's strength to make him buck it up.
or a really soft dog because Johnny can squish a dog easily as well.
He wouldn't a weak one.
Prada's
Oh,
worried around Johnny.
Prada's a wimp. Prada just knows that you want Johnny. She's
She does.
acting
She's
pathetic
like,
so you don't take him into your house.
I'm acting like I'm terrified of him because you
I
want
think
him.
I think Prada's the only dog that's scared of Johnny ever.
Sizzle tells him off. But yeah, Prada's no, he's too much for me.
So that was one shepherd. So bringing him out the second time, he was just as sketchy, and then it was over in no time, and he was playing with all these dogs again. So for this dog, he needs to learn what his limits are and how to understand other dogs, how to feel comfortable around other dogs, and how to have safe experience with other dogs. And I'm not talking a dog park at all. That's not what I'm talking
Oh
about.
God.
No, exactly. So that was the one. With the older German Shepherd, this was her missing piece. So this beautiful training was done, but they forgot the foundational error of making her feel good about it in herself. So without her ever feeling good about it in herself, angst built.
So is that because she knew all of these things but didn't know whether they were right or wrong?
She knew all of these things, but had so much dread about the dog coming close to her. There was still all that conflict in her head because
Hmm.
she's still scared of dogs,
Hmm.
like feeling totally unconfident with them.
Hmm.
So I'm slowly building up her friend base, but because she's older with more experience and strength now, it's much more difficult doing it her age.
What about with an 11-year-old dog?
Who are
12?
you?
12
Who are
maybe.
you? Who are you offering out? Kate?
No.
Who?
Kate's older than that.
Who are you offering?
I couldn't anyway because I can't
What?
leave her with you. Yes.
Sizzle.
Oh,
I'll take Sizzle.
I know you will. You're in my will. I know you will take her.
I think I'm getting a lot of dogs. I hope everyone isn't on the same plane that crashes.
We
Yeah.
have to be like like Prince Harry and Prince William. We have to fly on different planes if we ever go anywhere because they won't both go
Different
down.
motorways.
Exactly. Oh,
Just remember you
man.
get Harry.
I would take Harry now, knowing how he is when you're not around there.
All right, so the next question is, because I'm not sure we're answering any of the questions, but I think we're covering some good material, so whatever. How do you teach humans to have a good relationship with their dog? I think this is easy.
Yeah.
I think this is easy for those that are willing. And I think the most important thing to a dog is off leash time in non populated areas where they're not being controlled or micromanaged. Like dogs need to be free and have nice walks that they can enjoy. And it's
But
funny because, and maybe I say this because I'm a Brit, but I grew up in this world. So this North American world where dogs are to be kept on leash is just so alien and foreign to me.
how does I get what you're saying in that the dogs need to have freedom and they need to enjoy their life, but that to me doesn't create a relationship with your dog. I feel like you have to do something to create a relationship so that they can have that freedom and enjoy themselves and still want to be around you. Let's just say, for example, you go and pick up your puppy and all you ever do is let it have freedom in the woods. That's not creating a relationship.
Agree.
What are the things you do that create a relationship with your dog so that you can go and allow them to enjoy their time in the woods and know that they still want to come back to you?
Hmm. Oh, my answer was so simple in my head, Jill. Thanks for making it super complex. Go ahead,
Sorry.
answer your own question.
I think, first of all, you have to be genuine with your dog.
Oh,
Whether it's doing something right or wrong, you have to be genuine in what you're saying to them.
even exactly, even if they're
Yep,
being a dick, you have to be genuine in what you tell them.
absolutely.
Harry, don't be a dick.
Fucking Harry. That's his name.
Sorry, Harry. You're being super right now. You'd never be a dick. Ever.
But yeah, what in whatever's coming out of your mouth to your dogs, be genuine. You're either happy with them or you're not. But don't lie to them.
Never lie to a dog.
Yep. Have fun with them. In enjoy their company. If they're doing something silly that you think might be a little annoying, is it really annoying or is it just really funny? Can you laugh about it and just enjoy their antics? Those are my two big things. Be genuine with them, have fun.
That was three. But you
Be
said never lie to a dog, but I guess that was one.
That's being genuine. Be genuine, have fun. Okay, and I'm going to say be black and white. So three things. This is what I want, this is what I don't want.
So be clear with your words and your body. And that's what I've learned with the poodle because she's little and she doesn't trust feet.
Which you can't blame her.
No. So I started the process of teaching this dog to run through my legs, which I've been told she will not do. Well, she did it with me.
Ha,
But
Allison. Ha.
screw you, Allison. But as I was sending her through, I would not move until she was well clear of me because she
Yep.
was so suspicious that I was going to stumble and fall on her.
Okay.
Allison must drink lots.
I was gonna say don't do it tonight. Don't do it after you're done here.
Sorry, Allison, I'm going to make you sound like a drunk now on the podcast. Don't worry, it's me that's a drunk currently. Okay, so what were we saying with that one? Be clear with your words
How you create a relationship with
and
your dog.
body.
Yep.
Clear with words and body.
Cookies don't do it. So for those of you that think that just piling cookies at your dog is going to make them love you,
We're supposed to say what is going to do it. Shut
it's
up.
cookies aren't.
I think so. What I was going to say was off leash freedom. Dogs need to have that. We
Mm-hmm.
can't keep micromanaging them.
Mm-hmm.
And less stressful neighborhood walks And I think people get their puppy and think, I have to socialize it. And then in 10 days, completely overwhelm it and destroy all this dog's trust.
Yep. It doesn't need to have 1,000 people touching it in 10 days.
Oh,
That's
no.
not socializing.
No, that's just called
No.
overwhelming.
Yeah, show it 100 things in 10 days, sure. But take it in the car, take it to the airport, take it to the grocery store. Like, show it things, but don't overwhelm it.
I too wrote have fun. And then one that I wrote was have compassion for them, for their struggles, their difficulties, and teach them to be kinder to themselves and to yourself. I think we forget that they have feelings like we do. We either forget they have feelings or the only thing we think about are their feelings. So we
Right?
have to be their parent. We have to teach them bad scenarios.
We have to be their
But we
parent
also,
without them being our fur baby.
yes, a coach. How about that?
Yes. Yes, let's be their coach, not their parent.
And it depends on the differing aging levels. Like a teeny tiny puppy, I'm going to help them with everything. A
Yes.
1 year old is going to get kicked out and told to smarten up and find his way home from them all, like equivalent, right? There's kind of different stages of parenting. Sometimes they need to work out the difficulties on their own, but at the beginning, no, I'm going to be there and protecting them from it.
I saw that happen
Do I want
when
to know
when Harry was a baby
what happened?
at the school. When somebody arrived, two people arrived with their dogs and just let them off leash, and you were training Harry. He was about 4.5 months old. I don't think I've ever seen you move so fast and have so many arms and legs moving in so many directions after these other dogs.
Am I right that it was two scary ass breeds that they had zero control over?
They just came in and let them off leash, and they
Yeah,
immediately beelined it to Harry.
yeah.
So yeah,
And
one of them I
they
think
sat
got,
down to have a picnic, didn't
yeah,
they?
one got tackled by you.
Yeah.
Another one jumped over your foot as it was coming towards you, and then Brian and I got yelled at to pick Harry up.
And the
Protect,
women were speechless
yeah, protect your puppies at all costs.
at all cost. Harry left that scenario having no idea anything happened.
Exactly. And that's the goal.
If we go to one of her last questions, how do we teach others to see what we see? I think the first thing is they have to start looking.
Yep.
Because I
And
think that's the missing piece is people aren't looking.
and they have
They're
to do a
paying,
lot of it.
and I think they're looking at stupid shit like, oh, he just shook. Oh, he's sniffing.
Yeah. Oh, he yawned.
Oh, he yawned.
Yeah.
No, like what I want to look at is I'm walking down a pathway. A guy is walking towards me on my left, and my dog pushes towards him on the left as I'm walking. Why is my dog pushing left towards this guy?
Yeah.
What's the rest of his body language doing? Is he's wanting to step in between me and this guy? Is he going to lunge at him, or is this guy a problem? These are the things I'm thinking as I see my dog go to protect me like that.
Yep.
Why are you positioning yourself there?
Yeah.
And then in that moment, when I've seen my dog do that, I'm going to turn both my hips and shoulders towards Guy. So my dog knows I've seen this person. I've seen the threat that's coming. And I'm going to say something to him like, good evening, how's it going? At which point I'm going to tell my dog, I've got it. You don't need to protect me right now.
Yeah. It sounds so simple, but you just need to be present and
Present
aware.
and coach your dog through it. Like right there, what I demonstrate once again is latent learning. I'm showing my dog how I want them to behave in that scenario.
Yeah.
I look at the guy, I show the guy confidence. I'm okay with him there, but I'm fully aware of where he is and what he's doing. That's what I want.
So
My dog needs to let me have it.
years ago, I had adopted a dog from the Humane Society. That was Cooper, my red dog. And shortly after I got him, I was walking early in the morning before I went to work, and it was still dark out. and it was an off-leash area, but no other dogs around. And I had him and my one other dog who would have licked the face of an axe murderer. She just loved everybody. But we were walking up the off-leash park, and there was a guy behind us that kind of looked like the Goodyear tire man. It was winter time, so he was all clothed up. And when we got to the end and we turned around to come back, my girl dog ran up and said hi to this guy and thought he was the best thing ever. And my Cooper dog ran up to him to say hi, sniffed his hand, and then took 2 steps back and then went at him, barking, snarling, snapping. And this was 20 years ago, but I got on him white on rice because I was like, no, I'm never going to have a dog that will go after somebody like that. And then about 2 days later, I stopped and thought, it was dark in a park with nobody else around. This guy didn't have an animal with him, and he's following us. And now when I look at it, I would have told him what a good dog he
Good
was
boy. Yep.
because this was something super sketchy to him. So you need to be able to read your dogs and, I don't know, put yourself in their shoes.
It was years and years and years ago, before Cal Canine training on a Sunday. So back when it was on a Sunday morning. So I think it used to be at 9 on Sundays. I took my dogs for a hike at Fish Creek Park, and it snowed the night before. So I was probably there at 6, 7 a.m. It was winter. It was dark. So I drove all the way into the end part that was the off leash dog park way back then.
Yep.
And it was fresh snow out. I'm in my van opening up dog crates. So you know how you have to crawl inside your van to open up all the crates?
Yep.
When you had as many dogs as I did back then. So while I'm doing that, this car pulls up, blocking my exit so I couldn't leave, with his still running, with his door wide open.
Oh dear.
And he came up to say, "Good morning, what are you doing?" But had his hand on the side of my open door. So I was blocked in. And I grabbed my Malinois out of her crate. We had Haley Malinois way back then. And I elbowed him and shoved myself past him and said, "I'm going walking." And I left with my dogs. And as I was thinking about that, and he says, "Oh, can I pet your dogs?" I said, "No, they will bite you." "No, I love dogs. I love dogs." I just said, "Get away," and closed my car and left. That was the conversation. And as I'm leaving, all I could think was, my dogs just saved my ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend Sandy, hi Sandy if you're listening, Sandy Washburn, she says to people if she has workers coming into her house or whatever and her dogs are loose and they're concerned about the dogs, when they say, are your dogs okay? Her response is, if I'm okay, they're okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a pretty good comeback because it has
It's a
people.
super good comeback, except all of her dogs are little and yellow with long hair. They're not
Well,
very scary.
they're not little, but yes, they're Goldens, but still. Mhm.
uh, it's
But
much
yeah,
better when you have pointy-eared Harry and say that.
it's true. But yeah, if I'm okay, he's okay. That
Yeah.
gives people something to think about.
So, how do we translate our invisible world of instinct into something that these young trainers can understand? Listen to yourself.
I was going to say, follow your gut.
Yeah. Always listen to yourself.
Yeah.
If you're having a bad day, cancel.
Yeah.
Have good habits. Pay attention.
If something makes you on edge or makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck, whatever, pay attention to that.
If you're tired and you're dreading doing it, don't.
Yep. Even to me, even in training, people say No, take advantage of that because on trial day you might be a little bit off and your dog needs to realize they still have to work with you when you're not 100% there. But me personally, I'm going to take that chance on trial day. When I'm training my dog, if I don't want to be there or if I'm feeling like crap or if I'm just depressed or sad or whatever, I'm not going to attempt to be successful in my training on
I
that day.
had nothing to give Harry today or yesterday or Fika today or Pippa today. I just didn't have it in me. So I didn't.
Yep,
We curled up on the beanbag bed instead.
yep,
Because how can I expect them to give me 100% when I can't give it to them?
exactly.
And when I'm feeling this way, I'm going to make an error and then I'm not going to have my normal level of patience to fix it. So then I'm going to get disappointed or frustrated and they're going to think it was them. And then I'm going to create a whole bunch of problems that wouldn't have happened if I just hadn't trained them.
Yep.
So I didn't. You must answer the question, how do we translate this invisible world of instinct for the young trainers?
Didn't we just do that? Follow your gut. It comes down to either you're super gifted right from the get-go or you learn from experience.
At the very beginning, when I was learning to read dogs, I remember taking a whole bunch of photos of them and looking at the stills.
But how do you use that to verify what your thoughts were?
No, just reading dogs, that's all.
But you take a picture of a dog, you really don't have any way to know whether you were right in what you thought you were seeing. Tell me to shut up.
Yeah, shut up. If I take a photo of Pippa, I can then look at it and think, oh, she looks sad here. I
Okay.
could take another photo of her and think, wow, she looks really happy here. When she's happy, her tail is up, her mouth is slightly open, and her ears are perked forward.
Okay.
Then I take another one and stick Kate right next to her tight for a photo and notice that Pippa's angled her body away from Kate. Her
Weird.
mouth is tense.
That's odd.
Her eyes are looking down and her tail is sucked in. That's what Pippa looks like when she's feeling pressure.
Okay, so yes, so your own dogs, you can, fair enough. Your own dogs, you can verify that. I was thinking you were just taking pictures of random dogs and saying this is what they're thinking, but
No, no. I would that was how I taught myself to read body language was by studying photos of dumb scenarios I stuck my poor dogs in
okay,
and then working out why they look so miserable.
okay.
And it's
I
because
also,
I'd done stupid scenarios like, "Oh, look, let's face the two together on a log." So my Irish Terrier's leaning forward to my Italian Greyhound, who's facing her, leaning back as far as she can with her tail tucked in, looking at the ground.
that's an awesome photo.
Yeah. And so
I,
I pretty much baited 2 dogs off each other. My
oh my
Italian
God.
Greyhound said she wants to die. But that was how I started learning body language.
I also liked your idea of sitting at the dog park and just watching people get out of their vehicles with their dogs
It's such a good
and
exercise.
being like, I know what's going to happen there. This dog is going to do this, and this is what's going to happen, and see if you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that might be reading more people's body language than dogs based
Yeah.
on how they're getting out of the vehicle, but still.
You can read people as well as you can read dogs, can't you?
I think so. The odd time I'm super surprised,
Me too, definitely. Absolutely.
but for the
But I
most
think
part,
I think with humans though, there's medication and that messes things up because we're not necessarily seeing what we think we see.
and there's also,
And that applies to dogs too now.
while we joke about Pippa being manipulative, dogs being manipulative are totally different than people.
Yes.
And I think people are good at hiding their true selves, whereas dogs don't really have that ability.
Yeah.
So yeah, what in a dog is pretty close to what they are,
Yeah.
whereas you can be completely blindsided with a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. All
Hmm.
right. I think we should call it a night because we're long. I think this was a good topic.
Hopefully not.
Thank you for talking to me, Jill, and thank you to everybody for listening. Please and share us so that people actually hear us talk.
Yes. All right. We'll see you next
Thank you,
Tuesday.
Jill.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.